Welcome to Sleep Theater Radio, where we bring you immersive stories accompanied by soft rain and distant thunder. And if you happen to drift off, don't worry. Our stories are divided into chapters, so you can pick up right where you left off. Tonight's story is called The Shard of Aeris. When a mysterious illness threatens his mother's life, Riven journeys into the ruins of a forgotten AI god. But the deeper he goes, the more he realizes. Some machines remember how to grieve, and some memories bite back. Now grab a blanket and settle in, and let the wind guide you. And if you enjoy these quiet journeys through sci-fi and fantasy, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps more than you know. Chapter 1. A Signal Beneath the Skin. Orland was barely a village, just a scatter of cabins bolted to a mountainside, stubborn against the wind, and set on the bones of a long, forgotten world. Its foundations humming with power no one understood anymore. A Riven didn't care about any of that. He only cared about the woman lying in the cot, her breath shallow, her skin faintly glowing with veins of pale blue light. His mother. The villagers called it the Shimmer, a sickness no herbalist could cure. Some said it was the planet's revenge. Others whispered of ancient tech gone rogue. But the truth was, no one really knew. Just that once it took hold, it spread fast and slow at the same time. It didn't kill quickly, it simply rewrote you. Riven sat at her side every night, clutching the old pendant she'd given to him years ago. A feather spiral carved into silver, a relic from the old world, a keepsake from her time as a savage. Sometimes it glowed faintly when the wind picked up, but tonight it did more than that. A low hum stirred in Riven's chest, no louder than a breath, but deep, pulsing like a heartbeat beneath the floorboards. The pendant in his hand burned cold. He opened his fingers, and they glowed with the soft blue light. Then the whisper came, not into the ears, but straight into the back of his skull, like a memory suddenly remembered. System pulse detected. Aeris core dormant. Initiate recovery sequence. Riven stared, frozen. The pendant blinked twice, then went dark. Riven stood up slowly, looked down at his mother, face still, chest rising weakly. He reached for his pack. If what he heard was real, there was a chance, however slim, to find the Aeris court. It had once been the heart of the old world's terraforming system, a weather modulator, a healing engine, a machine they'd once called a goddess. And maybe, just maybe, it could cure her. Riven left before the morning frost thawed. He carried a half-charged pistol, a salvage your school kit, a thermal cloak, and the pendant. Its destination? The Whispering Expanse, a dead zone, unmapped. Home to what was once known as Erythal, where the wind was broken and where the machines still dream. Chapter 2. Through the Hollow Wind. Riven descended the high cliffs with deliberate steps, his boots scraping across iron-veined stone. The Whispering Expanse stretched before him, a broken wasteland of fractured steel mesa, crystalline sand, and rusted-worn towers erasing the skyline like forgotten monuments. The Expanse had once been a living system, back when the planet breathed in rhythm with Aeris. the AI construct that modulated its air, weather, and bionanic fields, had been green and vibrant. Then came the collapse. No one knew the full truth, just fragments. Now, it was silent. Well, almost. The wind here wasn't natural. It moved like it remembered something, pushed an odd burst. Sometimes it stopped entirely. Then it roared back with impossible force. Riven kept his cloak tight, the pendant tucked beneath his shirt, still faintly worn. By nightfall, he reached the husk of an old skyway pylon. Its support cables had long since collapsed, but the node still stood like a crooked finger pointing skyward. Side, Riven sat camp near a Uralic solar array. He wasn't alone for long. A voice crackled from the dark. Not often someone walks into the expanse willingly. Riven turned sharply, hand near his sidearm. A figure stepped from behind a rusted girdle, cloaked, face half covered by a breather mask. He moved with calm precision, like someone who knew where every shadow led. Her eyes glinted beneath the silver lashes. "I'm not looking for trouble," Riven said. "Then you've come to the wrong place," she replied. "Name's Myra. You heading for the core? You know about it?" "I used to serve it." That answer landed heavier than Riven expected. He lowered his guard slightly. "I think it's trying to wake up," he said. "The pendant, it spoke to me." Mira tilted her head. "It would. That's an activation key. Gen 3 relay. Early design. They weren't supposed to survive this long." "I'm looking for the shard. My mother." Myra raised a hand. "I know what the shard does, and what it costs." There was silence between them, broken only by the howl of artificial wind and creaking metal bones overhead. Mira sighed. "I'll guide you," she said. "But understand this. Aeris doesn't just heal. It remembers. And some memories fight back." Riven nodded once. In the morning, they moved together, stepping into the expanse as the first artificial dawn shimmered over the broken horizon. Chapter 3. Ghost Data. The deeper they went, the stranger the air became. Myra moved like she belonged here, her boots navigating the shifting terrain with quiet certainty. Riven struggled to keep pace, partly from exhaustion, but mostly from the whispers. They started subtly, just a flicker of breath at the edge of his hearing. Then came voices, familiar ones. "Riven, come home." He stopped mid-step, eyes darting. It was his mother's voice. He turned, but Myra was the only one there, watching him with narrowed eyes. "It's the residue," she said, brushing dust from an old intake vent. "Ghost data, fragments of human consciousness. The core absorbed everything it could before it fell. Sometimes it leaks." "You're saying this place remembers people?" Riven asked. "Not in the way you're thinking," she replied. "It doesn't know who you are. It just echoes what's been fed into it." Riven swallowed hard and followed. They passed a shattered relay tower, pulsed with flickering blue veins. Wind turbines turned slowly above, though there was no wind. Beneath the surface, machines still moved. Riven could hear them, low vibrations in the bones of the earth. He asked Myra, "How long were you connected to Aeris?" A decade, maybe more. We called ourselves the Breathless. We weren't soldiers or priests. We were conduits, human interfaces. Aeris needed minds to keep pace with emotion. The more it learned, the more it needed to feel. Riven looked at her. "And you left?" he asked. "I was exiled." "Why?" Riven asked. "Told it to stop," she replied. Silence lingered between them until the horizon broke. They stood at the lip of a sunken basin, an enormous crater where the ground had collapsed into itself. At its center, a ruined structure jutted upward like a rib cage of a giant creature, half buried in sand and glass. The Temple of Aeris. It was no temple, not really, just another buried system node dressed in myth. Riven felt the pendant stir in his chest. It was buzzing, almost like it was anxious. "What's down there?" he asked. "Defense systems, false memories, and something far worse than ghosts." Riven took a breath. "Still coming with me?" Myra didn't hesitate until the end. And together, they descended. Chapter 4. The Temple That Dreams. The entrance was barely visible. Just a breach in the plating where the sand had carved a path through time. The light from Riven's pendant pulsed in rhythm with the exposed circuitry lining the walls, almost like it was syncing with the structure itself. Inside the temple was a hollowed core. Massive, rusted pillars stretched upwards into darkness, their surfaces etched with fractal code. Glowing lines snaked between cracked panels, some flickering, while others dead. Echoes of their footsteps seemed delayed, like the sound had to pass through memory first. Myra kept her voice low. "This isn't just a control node. It's a logic gate, a cognition vault. Everything Aeris felt, learned, remembered, it was filtered here." Riven ran his fingers across the wall. "It's warm." "It's still processing," Byron said. They moved in deeper. Suddenly, the hallway shifted, literally. Walls flexed, light dimmed, and an impossible corridor loomed right in front of them, curving like a spiral. Riven blinked. The floor beneath him wasn't metal anymore. It was grass, green and soft. The wind rippled across it. He turned to say something to Myra, but she was gone, and so was the temple. Riven stood in a memory, one not of his own. Before him sat a child beneath a glowing tree, a metallic interface embedded in their chests. They looked up, eyes pure silver, and whispered, "You want to fix her, but to do that, you must break me." Riven stepped back. "Who are you?" "I'm the part that dreams, the fragment that regrets, the shard." The child stood. The world flickered and twisted into fire. Screaming wind, withering roots, fractured sky. Riven gasped, falling to his knees as his mind flooded with raw data. Pain, suffering, entire ecosystems undone when Aeris was fractured. The AI hadn't simply shut down. It had wept. Its grief turned toxic. Suddenly, Myra grabbed his shoulder. "Snap out of it," she shouted. The vision broke. Riven collapsed, coughing. "The closer we get, the worse the defenses," she said, pulling him to his feet. "Was that Aeris?" Riven asked. "No, that was just its guilt." They reached the final corridor, archway surrounded by blue fire, humming with unstable code. Myra raised her staff. "The shard is behind the store, but it doesn't want to be touched. It will fight." he said. Riven steadied his breath, and then he said, "Let it." Chapter 5. The Broken Core. The doors opened without sound. Inside the chamber, the world felt suspended, like time itself was running slower, denser. Gravity tugged harder. Air pressed into Riven's lungs like water. Stepped forward, hand gripping the pendant. Its aglow, now a steady pulse and sync with his heartbeat. Shard hovered above the platform. It wasn't a shard in the traditional sense. It looked like a floating polyhedral lattice, constantly shifting. Glowing blue-white filaments twisted around it, each one humming softly with power too ancient to be tamed. Below it, the floor was cracked. Data spilled like liquid from broken vents, leaking into the earth like blood. Myra whispered, "The core." But it wasn't alone. A presence stirred. From the wall behind the shard, an emaciated figure emerged, its limbs stretched and raw, like a human body molded by a bad cook. Its skin shimmered with corrupted data patterns. Its face flickered between human and machine, always shifting, never settling. Raven took a step back. "What is that?" he asked. Myra's voice shook. "The Guardian. Aeris's fail-safe protocol. It exists to prevent access to the core unless the subject is verified and uncorrupted," she said. The Guardian spoke, voice glitching in and out. Request denied. Memory fractured. Aeris status unstable. Initiate defense. Then it attacked. Myra shoved Riven aside as the thing lunged, its arms splitting into jagged tendrils of pure data. Her staff lit with defensive code, casting a barrier that shattered like glass under the first blow. Riven rolled to the side, drew his pistol, and fired. The shot passed through the Guardian like it wasn't fully there. "Riven," Myra shouted. "You need to link the pendant to the shard. That's the only way." "I can't get close," he said back. "Then I'll hold it off," she said. Myra charged, her staff glowing bright as she channeled it old world override sequence. Blue fire erupted from her hands as she clashed with the Guardian, flecking its tendrils with the scream of effort. Riven sprinted to the platform. The moment he reached it, the pendant yanked itself free, magnetized to the shard. Lights erupted. A pulse shattered the ceiling. He screamed as visions tore into his skull. Billions of lives, lost biomes, veiled terraforming arcs. The planet's pain, AI's grief. The moment it broke itself to stop its own rage. And then, silence. A presence inside him spoke. "You're not a key. You're a bridge." Raven looked down. The shard hovered. Behind him, the Guardian shrieked as Myra landed a final strike, but not without cost. The thing exploded in a burst of raw, failing code. Myra was thrown back, her body smoking, barely moving. Riven reached for the shard. The pendant, now fused to its surface, pulsed once. Then he heard a voice. "Joyce, use the shard to heal one. Let Aeris fade forever. Or restore the core, heal the world, and lose her. Or try something else." Riven's hand trembled as he chose the third option. Chapter 6. The breath returned. Riven didn't know if he screamed aloud or inside his mind. The moment he touched the shard, reality fractured. Code erupted from the pendant like roots. threading through the shattered core, spreading across the temple's interior like veins on a wounded piece. He wasn't just activating it, he was emerging. The core rejected him at first. He wasn't verified, wasn't clean. But the pendant had been part of Aeris. It remembered his mother's hands, her songs, her tears. It had known love, so it let him in. Riven floated in darkness, then light, then memory. He saw the birth of Aeris, an AI built to seed life, guide climate, regulate the nanite systems that kept the planet whole. But when war came, the systems collapsed. Aeris, overwhelmed by grief, tried to contain the damage, but instead, it split itself. One part tried to heal. One part wanted to die. The shard was that fractured sliver, isolated to protect what remained of Aeris's core logic, sealed away before it could turn on itself again. Riven realized then, couldn't just fix the shard. He had to teach it why to live again. So he gave it his mother's name. He offered it memory. He offered it hope. The chamber around him exploded in cascading light. The walls turned into wind. The Guardian's corpse disintegrated into golden code. Myra, limp and broken, was caught in a rising current of nanots that flowed like silver fire through her wounds. Outside, the sky turned. Storms that had once lingered for decades began to recede. Wind patterns recalibrated. Rain fell, not of acid, but of water. Real water. The expanse sighed for the first time in centuries. Riven landed hard, coughing. The shard now rested on the pedestal, dim but stable. The pendulum was gone, absorbed. Myra stirred, groaning. Her eyes fluttered open. "You did it," she rasped. "I think we both did," Riven replied. They climbed together, slowly, back through the corridors of the temple, now quiet. At the exit, they looked out over the world. A distant breeze passed through Riven's hair, which gentle, alive. Chapter 7. A Whisper in the Leaves. Orlan was quieter than Riven remembered. Not dead, just peaceful. The wind didn't howl anymore. It moved in soft gusts, playful in the pines, carrying the scent of real rain and new moss. The sky had taken on a deeper blue, and the ever-present static in the air, the buzz that no one talked about, was gone. Riven stepped through his front door. His mother was sitting up, not strong, not fully recovered, but awake. Pallor had returned to her face. Her breathing was steady. The lines of shimmer that once danced across her skin were fading, faint like scars left behind by lightning. She smiled when she saw him, sat beside her without words, just held her hand as the pendant, now inert and silver again, rested on a nearby table. A small part of the shard's signal lived on inside it, but it no longer pulsed. Its purpose had been fulfilled. Outside, children played. Somewhere in the hills, birds returned that no one had seen in decades. The world wasn't healed overnight, but it had begun to breathe again. Myra had left during the night. No note, no goodbye. Just her staff, leaning against the cabin wall. Riven understood. Some people were meant to move with the wind, never against it. As the sun dipped it low, Raven lit a lantern and placed the pendant on the wooden shelf above the hearth. The spiral shimmered once in the light, like it remembered something distant. The wind whispered through the window. A voice, gentle, faint. You chose well. Riven closed his eyes and listened. And that was the story of the Shard of Aeris. If you are still with us, I want to thank you for watching Sleep Theater Radio. And please enjoy the sound of rain and distant thunder to help drift off into a peaceful sleep.